you very much, everyone, for joining, and thank you for your patience with me. Okay, so Yishikoyach Yoel for sending out the Mana Mekoimus. There's a lot of Mana Mekoimus. Usually I do this nice, neat sheet. Again, I apologize. I still don't have a computer, and it's just easier for me to take pictures and send it out. There's three Sheilos that I'd like to deal with. One is a Shaila. It wasn't recently. It is a Shaila that comes up from time to time in different forms. Someone asked me recently about competing moistus chinuch, and someone else also recently asked me. He has a flower shop, and in the neighborhood, another few flower shops opened up. Is that right? Is that a sagas gevul? And what's worse is that down the block, there's this guy that comes with a truck every Friday, and he sets up a tent and he sells flowers. Is that a sagas gevul or not a sagas gevul? Interesting question. The Asagas Gvul issue is a very interesting sugya, a very dynamic sugya. And like every sugya, maybe in an hour, we're not going to cover the whole length and breadth of the sugya, but that's the beauty of the Kol Yom Rishon that we picked Dafka 3 Sheilos. So Meshach a year, we end up with covering 150 sugyas as opposed to one sugya liyunya. So let's lunge straight into it. Again, the question here is about competition, about healthy, unhealthy competition, kosher, unkosher competition. Can one yid open up a shop right next to the other yid? Yes or no? And same thing with the Moised Chinuch. Could one yeshiva open up in the same neighborhood as the other yeshiva when there is not enough children going around? We're not talking about a place like Lakewood, everyone's moving in there, and every year there's another boys and girls school opening up, or multiple.
Listen, you got to keep in mind one important thing, which is that the flower seller who comes and sets up a tent may not be licensed. And I'm not sure if they're Jewish, but they're generally nobody there that looks Jewish. They're Hispanic, whatever. So they're not Jews, and they're not licensed by the city to operate. So they should not be considered as competition.
Okay, thank you for your input, and definitely we'll Belina to go back to visit your valid points when we wrap up the sugya. Okay, so let's lunge into the sugya. This is a question about a sagas gvul, and as David raised a good question, which is what happens when it's a goy. So it is a rule of thumb, and as you'll see soon in the Sheilos Tshuvos of the Rama, which was a very important issue and a political issue that happened in his day, we could judge when it's favorable for a yid and to quench the competition of the goy, we do apply Dina Yisrael. In general, we have like a two-edged thing here. If the secular law is favorable for the yid, we'll go, okay, listen, you want to go with secular law, we'll go with secular law. But if the Torah law is favorable for the yid, we'll use the Torah law. Okay, let's go into the sugya. Let's go into this beautiful sugya as again, is competition good for business or not good for business? There's a saying, competition is good for business. When is competition kosher? When is competition not kosher? Two competing businesses in the same block, in the same neighborhood, and two moistus chinuch in the same block, in the same neighborhood. I don't think there'll be time today, but there's an interesting spin-off sugya from this, which is two rabbonim. If you are allowed to go into the shus of another Rav to be Masada Kiddushin and so on, it's a very interesting, it's like a hot button issue in Crown Heights, for example. So, I mean, even in other neighborhoods. So, okay, let's go into the sugya. Zog the heilige und heilige Gemara, we're in Baba Basra Daf Chof Aleph Amid Beis. Actually, there's a very Geshmaka sugya in this same Daf Gemara in the beginning of the page, which is also a question someone asked me this winter, but I'll leave it aside for another time, about firing teachers and firing mechanchim. When can you, when can't you? Anyway, maybe we'll leave this for another time too. Zok the Gemara. Amar Rav Huna, Hai bar muva, the oiki rechayev also bar muva chabre v'kamoike gabe. That there is a person, this mavi, that he has a mill. People bring wheat and he grinds it for them, and the other guy puts up another mill right next to him. So Dina who the ma'akev, he could be ma'akev. You can hold him back. Amar like you're holding back my chayas. You're cutting off my livelihood. Here I have a cleaners, and you're opening up right next to me another cleaners. I have a bakery. You're opening right next to me another bakery. How could you do that? You're cutting off my source of income. He could take him to Bezdin. The first cleaners could take the second cleaners to Bezdin. The first bakery could take the second bakery to Bezdin and demand that he close. I have it ayah for Rav Huna. It says, so this dog, it's a dog. That there are fishermen that are fishing, and if you see one fisherman, he's about to catch a fish, you have to take your net and go as far from this fish as the one whoosh that the fish would give when it swims. Basically, you got to go away from the first fisherman if his eye is already on a fish. Kama. Parsa. Ritz's dog is a parsa, which is quite a distance. Zog the Gemara, which is 4 meal. I mean, we're talking about quite a distance. If one fisherman is already here, the other guy has to go away. Zog Gemara shani dogim the yavisira. It's different that by fish, it used to be in those days that the fisherman would find where the fish is basically hanging out, where his hole is, where his cave is, and they would put in some food there. So since he already put food for this fish, it's ki'ilu, even though he wasn't kind yet the fish, Chazal made a special takana. It had nothing to do, this rule among fishermen has nothing to do with regular competition in business. Perhaps Rabbi Yehuda holds like this machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabban, and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. That now we learned in the Mishnah. That a shopkeeper is not allowed to give candy and nuts to. Those days, candy was like kloyes. They would roast wheat. That was the candy. So he can't give roast wheat and nuts to the children. Why? Because then all the kids, when their mama and papa are going to send them shopping, they're going to go to that grocery store because over there they get free candy. So we see there's a machlokes here about competition, and Rabbi Yehuda is machmir, and Chomim Amekel. So they said Rabbi Yehuda holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Zog the Gemara, no, I feel like Rabbi Yehuda. I'd kind of play Rabbi Yehuda like Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda says, I go like Rabbi Yehuda too. It's a different thing. That Rabbanan say it's permissible to give out candy to the kids that come to the shop. He said the one shop tells the other shopkeeper, I'm giving nuts, you give candies. I'm giving apples, you give pears. Every store could have a bowl of candies on the counter. Every store has the right to do that. That's not called unfair competition. But here, the Rabbanan Moide, if I open up a cleaners or a bakery, and you're going to open up in the same block, in the same chotzer, is Amalek, you're cutting off my livelihood. Zog the Gemara Meisveh Chabakash on Reb Huna. It says, "Ois Adam Chanus b'shat Chanus shachaveda, Merchas Merchot shachaveda, v'inochalim chazviyodem, desh yochalam alata ois b'tech shalach, v'ni ois b'tech shali." Person could open up one shop next to another shop, one bathhouse next to another shop. The second shopkeeper tells the first one, "You're doing your business, I'm doing my business." The Gemara Tanoim, Takets Machlokes Tanoim, the Tanya will learn the Braisa. Koy from name of us. Ze shalom loish b'nei loichayit v'leim bursik v'leim alamatenoikes v'loyechem b'nei balomnius. That the people in the Mavi could make a rule that no one here could be a tailor, no one here could be a teacher, no one here could be doing one of the trades. The Pashas, why are they making this rule? Because they don't want noise. The guy is going to open up in his house. He's going to open up an office. He's a doctor. He's going to open up an office. And then in this building, all of a sudden, they live in a building. They live in a chotzer. All of a sudden, there's a lot of foot traffic and there's a lot of noise. And the bnei chotzer, the bnei amovi, say no. We don't want to be soivel. We don't want to suffer from this noise and this foot traffic. So they could say no one in this building, no one in this co-op, no one in this chotzer, no one in this mavi has a right to open up a tailor shop in his house. Or you could be a tailor and do the tailoring in your house and go sell it in the shuk. That's not a problem. But to have people come into your house and they're going to walk through our chutzah, you can't. But it's l'shcheina ene kefeu. He can't be koife shochem. His neighbor could do whatever he wants. I'm sorry, I went a little off. I mean, I was talking about the noise factor, which is not really the nakuda here in this brayse. There is the concept that the people in the Mavi could have a argument and say that we don't want to suffer from the noise, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But here, if you look at Rashi says. I'm sorry, I went off a little on a tangent. We're talking about that the people in the Mavi, they say, we don't want to have competition. We the people in the Mavi, we don't want to have competition. Because we already have a chayit here, and we don't want to have another, we have already a tailor, and we don't want competition in this. But, so they could say, if you're a tailor, you can't come into this Mavi. We're not going to let you rent or buy. Oh, well, buy is a separate thing. Maybe you could buy. We're not going to let you rent space in this Mavi to be a tailor or to open up a cleaners at the competition to someone who's already in this Mavi. But if there's two people that live in the Mavi and one guy is a tailor, this neighbor could also become a tailor. He could say, look, how much business is there already in this neighborhood? If you're going to become a tailor like me, you're taking away my chayus, you're taking away my livelihood. Again, erase what I said before about the noise factor. That's a different mission and a different brayse and a different sugya, and we'll learn it soon in the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch. But anyway, here the issue is, according to Rashi, that there is already a tailor in this Mavi, and he says, I don't want another tailor coming here, and they have the right to make this argument. But if two people in the same Mavi that live in the same Mavi, one is a tailor and the other one wants to be a tailor, he has no time against him. But if Shimon Glil says, even your neighbor, you could say, no, I already opened up a tailor shop, and I opened up a shop, and you can't. So we see it's a machlokas tanoim. If two people that live in the same Mavi, if they could force, if the first person could say to the second, you can't open up a shop. But everyone seems to agree that two people in the same, if there is a people that live in a city, for example, people live in a Mavi, they could force another person to say that you can't come in here and rent space and open up a shop here. Says, it's simple to me. If there's a person from a different city opening up a shop in this city, I could say, listen, I already opened up a tailor, I already opened up a cleaners, you have no right to come in here. The other guy is paying the taxes of this city. I can't hold him back from opening up a shop here. Because that's what the Rabbanon holds. He passes like Rabbanon, not like Rabbi not like Rabbi. He's passes l'kula. If there's two people living in the same Mavi, the first one opened up a tailor shop, the second one could also. If a person from one Mavi in another Mavi, teiku, and the Shulchan Aruch passes l'kula. Rabbi Yosef said, when it comes to little children, it comes to teaching Torah to little children, the first Malamed or the first school can't hold back the second. That Ezra made a takana that you could have one teacher competing with a second teacher. Maybe this is going to weaken the system, but that there's going to be too many malamdim and too many schools, they're all going to fold. So Gemara, he said, no, that there's going to be a jealousy and it's going to be good. The competition and the yeshivas is going to be good for the yeshivas. Rashi and Tosas both take out these last three lines as Zeratikim because they say Parsha. We don't find that the Gemara says in Baba Kama the 10 takonas of Ezra, and this is not one of them. So they say it's simple. Because competition is good for chinuch. Sorry, it's a little bit of narichas, so we went through a daf Gemara here. But so if we should summarize what we had here, is that there was a machloikes tanoim and also machloikes amayroim, chachamim and Rishim Gamliel, and also chacham Reb Huna and Bered Rabbi Shua. If the first shopkeeper could tell the second shopkeeper, you have no right to open up a shop right next to me in the same Ovi. The Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam will see in a minute that they pasken lakula. They pasken lakula like Reb Huna Bered Rabbi Shua. They pasken lakula like Reb Huna Bered Rabbi Shua that if the person doesn't have the right to say to the other person in his mavui that you can't be a tailor. The first person could be a tailor, and the second person could be a tailor. If a person is coming from a different city and he's not paying the taxes here, then you could say you have the right to open up here a business. By if one teacher, another teacher, or one tutor, another tutor, one yeshiva and another yeshiva, one cheder, another cheder, there's no right for the first one to tell the second one that you can't open up. It's kinasov from Tarba Chochma. There is later in the copies that you have, maybe we'll go through it soon. There is a beautiful line from the Rebbe, where the Rebbe says that what's up shot competition is good for business. What's up shot competition is good for business. It's not for the customer that it's good, because that's a separate issue. That's not the pshat. Competition is good for business, that it's good for the customer. It's good for the proprietor. It's good for the bala business. Why? Because if there was no competition, so then the shopkeeper gets lazy. He doesn't provide good service, and he doesn't provide the goods and the services go midechi al dechi. And then eventually there's no business. There's no business for the shopkeeper himself. When there's two shops, both are starting to work to improve their products and services, and both are making more business. In other words, Reuven, if he had no competition, his business would go midechi al dechi. He'd make every year he'd be making less money than the previous one. Now that he has a competition, he has to think of ingenious ways of how to retain customers and how to please his customers and how to convince his customers that they need more of his goods and services. So Reuven is gaining more parnasa by Shimon coming in. That's the pshat kinasah from Tarbe Chochma. Yet, al pi halacha, that only applies by chinuch. We don't say that by other businesses. By other businesses, the first guy has the right to tell the other guy, "Listen, you're choking me off. Get out of here." That's what the Rebbe says. But that's not the halacha. It's only if the person's coming from another city. So what's the Rebbe saying? True, it's a Fabrengen and Purim, and we'll talk about this soon. The Rebbe had this idea, a project, but the Rebbe was not talking to Lomdus. But definitely that every word that Rebbe says is b'diuk otzum, and especially a well thought through idea that the Rebbe is saying that competition is good for business. I mean, the Rebbe is coming from a country which had an unbelievable social experiment that involved over 100 million people, which is socialism, which fell on its face, which proved that competition is good for business. I mean that no one brought the Soviet Union down to its knees as much as it itself brought itself down to its knees. But Pashtus, I'm not an economist. If you're going to argue with me, I'm not going to. But Pashtus, what everyone could see that if you go today to Russia and you look at all the buildings that were built, it's a goyal nefesh at the shops and the buildings and then cities that they built in the time of communism. Why? Because there's no competition. So everything is dreary, Pasha dreary. All the cities that were built in the communist era, that's just dreary. Mechanisch verleiden.
Rob, the best example is the 47th Street in Manhattan and 32 Court Street with all the attorneys. And the people know that this is where you go for jewelry.
Right.
It's not a matter of going to this guy or that guy. I'm going to walk down the street and see the best place for me.
Right. That's very good. Like when we opened up on the corner of East 17 and J, there's already two shuls on J. So there was a discussion, and I was present. someone said this is competition. Another shul. We already have 2 shuls on one block. A third shul. So the other person said, these are not members of Beis Menachem Mendel. The people that spoke, both people that were talking were, I don't know if they ever stepped foot in Beis Menachem Mendel. But the other one said it's not true. It's a business hub. It's a business hub. This is where there's the shuls. This is where there's a whole bunch of shuls, like you said. This is the jewelry district. This is the Kedusha Dikas jewelry district. So
Even
you come
this,
here. You
yeah,
have a mincha ma'ariv, you have a good shir here.
yeah.
You go in there to get a dvar malchus. This is good. This is good.
In this neighborhood on Sukkot, this is where you go to get a lulav and estro.
Right.
You used to have to go to the Lower East Side.
Right.
Shmulik has his cleaners. If you count in the 2-block radius, there's around 4 or 5 cleaners, and I hope they're all doing business.
I'm not sure if Shmulik agrees with all our banter right now. So, huh? No, put yourself. You're on mute.
Is Shmulik nodding his head?
No, we'll wait for Shmulik a minute. Shmulik, put yourself on. So take off your mute.
Unmute.
Unmute yourself. Shmulik, we still can't hear you. Soon, Shmulik will tell us his thoughts soon. Okay. Anyway, we're still on the
Rabbi.
Yeah.
זה סט קוצבים מזונותיו של אדם מראש השנה עד ראש השנה. So why are you worried if somebody opened there, if in Shamayim, in Rosh Hashanah, they said you're going to make 100,000. So it doesn't make difference if they open 2, 3, but you're going to make this 100,000.
Right. No, look, you have a point, but only when it's in the parameters of Halacha. If that person is doing a competition which is not kosher up Halacha, so it's like saying if the looters are breaking the windows of stores, well, everything is nigzim in Hashemayim. But that's already another discussion. Well, after everything is done in the parameters of what's kosher, competition up Halacha, then a person says, you know what, the rest I leave in the Eibish's hands, and whatever the Eibishter was gozer, and the panas that's coming to me is coming to me. You have a good point. So let me summarize again what we learned in my question I just asked. Again, the Gemara has a machloikis if a person could say paskal lechayusi, that your one shop could tell the other shop you got to close down because you're taking away my business. So machloikis chamer b'shem gamliel b'huna b'rei b'shua and the shulchan aruch paskins lekula that you don't have the right to tell the second shopkeeper that opened up in the same mavui. If 2 people live in the same mavui, and the first guy's a tailor, he can't tell the other guy you can't open up a shop. However, if a person's coming from a different city, he could say, get out of here. Unless the other guy moved into the city and he's paying the taxes, or at least he's paying the taxes of this city. So the Rebbe says, by Malamed, we say Yagel Torah v'Yadir. So the Rebbe says, this idea that competition is good for business, it means that it's good for the seller. However, we say it's still osur. Just by Malamed Tenoikis, it's mutter. Why is the Rebbe saying that? We say it's mutter, but the answer is because we do have this concept alpidin that if a person is coming from another city, that I could tell him you have no right to open the shop here. So we do see that there is this concept that of asogas gvul that we say paskal lechayuse. It's only when the 2 people are living in the same mavui. Chazal this understood that the rights of the first person is equal to the rights of the second person, since they're both paying taxes of this city, so which is the taxes of the city is allowing the government and the police to make sure that it's a safe place, that the sewage, the water, the garbage to be collected, yada yada yada. They're both paying equal taxes, so they both have the rights. And the first person can't say ava chazaka because they're both paying taxes, which allows the city to be a good place for business. So if you can open a shop, I could open a shop, but it's not because of competition is good for business. It's because we're both equal, because we're both paying the expenses for this co-op. We're both paying the expenses for this chotza. We're both paying the expenses of this city. And true, therefore, if a person comes from another city, we could tell him, sorry, you have to pack your bags and leave. So that's a summary of the sugya. Okay. Agav urcha, not agav urcha, but back to the one question that I dealt with the flower store. Other flower shops that are paying taxes and live in the same community and supporting the same shuls and moistas, they have the right to open up other shops. But if a guy is coming with a tent on Friday and selling flowers, he's not paying any taxes, and like David said before, he's not paying for the licensing and all the legalities that it takes to have a shop, which is expensive. And again, he's not paying all the taxes and all that's required for a shopkeeper, which all that revenue goes to the city, which supposedly is going later to fix up the roads and the sewage and so on, to allow for business to flourish. This guy's coming, is dropping off a couple of guys from across the border and putting them on the corner with a tent and selling flowers. Then the shopkeeper does have a taina. Obviously, we're going to talk about certain qualifications later, which maybe the Bala tent might have. But anyways, Pashas, the flower store can't tell other flower stores not to open, but he could say that you can't plop down here with a tent on my corner of my block selling flowers. Okay. With now there's a beautiful Beis Yosef. He asks a kasha. The Rosh, the Rif, the Rambam, all three paskin lakula. They all paskin lakula that the one person in the chotza can't tell the other person in the chotza you can't open up a shop. Yet they all bring the din by Balama de Tenoikis that that kina sofrim Tatara B'Chochma, that one school could open alongside the other school because competition is good for business. But you told me anyway, every competition is mutter. So what's the chiddush here? Every competition is mutter. Why is the Rif and then Mela the Gemara talking about the Behaalosecha? Behaalosecha holds that it's also to have competition. The first guy who is a tailor could tell the second guy, close your shop because I opened my shop first. So he's saying, that Meshivin Sofer B'tzad Sofer, you're allowed to have one school right next to another school. And I understand why the Gemara says the din of Rebbe Huna. But why is the Rambam, the Rif, and the Rosh saying the din of Rebbe Huna? It's anyway. If there's one tailor, the guy, his neighbor could also open shop. One baker, the guy could open shop. One cleaner, the guy. One pharmacy, the other guy could open a shop. So why if the same din that applies to a pharmacy, to the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, will apply also to yeshiva, to malam de tanoikis. And what's the chidush here? We're not talking according to the Behaalosecha, we're talking according to the Behaalosecha b'rei Rabbi Shua, according to Chachamim. So the Beis Yosef answers, and you have it here in your copies, but I'll just say it b'kitzer. He says that we're talking about if a malamed wants to come from a different city. So if a shop wants to come from a different city, a guy living in a different city, not paying the taxes here, wants to open up shop here, we can bounce him. We could say you have no right to open shop here. So, but when it comes to Malam Tenoikis, he has the right to stay. I want to say a little nakuda here. There's a cute Chassam Sofer in Baba Basra. It's in your copies. He brings from the Ramban that when do we say that the first shop has a right to tell the second shop to close? For example, at least Halacha, if the guy is coming from a different city, he's not paying the taxes here. As only if the second guy and the first guy are selling the exact same merchandise. And some even hold that same merchandise for the same price. But if the second guy is giving something better, a better quality, and the Chassam Sofer doesn't bring it, but the Ashit is a hold, even if he's giving the same quality but a better price for the customers, so then the toiv of the customer trumps everything. We can't. Why? How could the first guy bounce the second guy when the second guy is selling better merchandise? So it's a toiv selikeach. He's selling a better quality stuff. So how could you close him down? You can't close him down. So it says the Chassam Sofer, if a malamed comes from a different city and he's here without his wife and children, he has more time to prepare his classes, his shiurim, and he has more patience for his students. So he's a better malamed. So you can't bounce the malamed that's coming from another city. So according to the Chassam Sofer, it's already ogishlog the teretz of the Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef says the chiddush of why every time there's two people in the same city, you could open a shop on the side of a shop. So what's the chiddush of malamed tenoikis? If he came from a different city. But according to Chassam Sofer, if he comes from a different city, anyway, these are the rules of business that's considered better merchandise. Okay, so you could say maybe we're talking about when the malamed came from a different city, and he also came with his family, and he's not paying the taxes. It's like a very doichik teretz right now. But you could say a plethora of terutzim. There's another teretz that the Rebbe mentions I got there's a story in there's a story in the Ramah. There was a story that there was a very choshik, called him Hagon. I don't know who it was. I don't have my Otzachach, my computer is not working now, so it's like my brain is half like, so I couldn't research the story, but there was a story in the days of the Ramah that there was a printer, that Yiddish printer that printed a set of Rambam. He printed a set of Rambam. So to his misfortune, there was a guy who a rich, very wealthy guy who had a very successful printing shop, and he also printed the Rambam. He said of Rambam, and the guy made it known like this. The guy said, pre the books hitting the shop or whatever it was, before the sale start, the guy made it known that whatever the Jew is going to charge for his set of Rambam, he's charging 1 gold coin less, 1 zahuv less. And these are the words of the Rambam. I don't know which currency he was using. He said 1 zahuv less. So this Jewish printer was gonna, he was gonna have his unbelievable loss. And the Yenta Loimer, I don't know if that's his really name, but the Rama calls him the Yenta Loimer. So the Yenta Loimer he was a wealthy guy and he could take the loss. And then he had the power to do it. The Yid was never struggling. So the Rama says that it's not so simple that Halacha is against Rav Huna, even though the Rif and the Rosh hold Halacha is against Rav Huna. But he says the Mordechai seems to hold like of Rav Huna. And at least in some cases, we will pass like Rav Huna, that the first shop could close the second shop. In which case, the body is if the first guy could prove that the second guy is hurting him, he says that when do we pass against the Rebbeinu is in a regular case, we don't know. But if the first guy could prove that the second guy is stepping on his toes and it's body azeka, then we close down the second guy. He says the Yenta Loimer announced that he's going to charge 1 gzohuv less than the Jew. Who's going to be foolish to pay the extra and go to the Jew? So therefore, we got to close down the guy. We got to close down the guy. And when it's a toive for the Yid, we will judge according to Dini Yisrael. Don't say that there's an issue now that it's going to make anti-Semitism and it's going to be Shalom Malchus. They're going to say the Jews are not giving business to Goyim. Dav Beis, the Bedava Mekach Memker, Lesbe Mishum Evim, Mochshum the Kol Echad Yochel is not Slovalimer, Ain't it Tzorich Lichtnes Velimkun. There's no anti-Semitism. There's no Ava. I don't want to buy a Rambam. I don't have to buy a Rambam. He says to the goy, what's going to be? Mr. De Blasio will say, how about you're not giving business? Mr. De Blasio, did you buy a Rambam? Dus nicht gekauft kein Rambam. Ich will nicht kaufen der Rambam. It's a free country. I don't want to buy a Rambam. So I don't have to go to the Yenta Loimer to buy a Rambam. It says no Jew should go to the Yenta Loimer to buy the Rambam. And he'll be stuck with whatever amount of Rambams he sold. And he'll learn his lesson. There's like unequivocally that this is the halacha. And then he brings other reasons why it should be the halacha that way. But basically, we see that the Ramah holds that even though we're passing like Rabbi Huna, there's some reservations. Even in the Shulchan Aruch, when you look, you see that the Mechaber unequivocally says that two people in the same cities, the first one could open a shop and the second one could open a shop, shoulder to shoulder, back to back, front to front. They could be on the same chutzah, in the same avi, the same block. It's not a problem. But we see that the Ramah has reservations here. The second guy could prove that the first guy could prove the second guy is stepping on his toes. Body Azeka, he can bounce him out of town. He can close him down. So you can answer that over here, that's only by regular business. the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. But if you're talking about one Moised Chinuch and a second Moised Chinuch, no. Even though, in other words, say you have the Mir Yeshiva here, right? On Ocean Parkway. Or say you have on Eastern Parkway, you have Ole Torah. On the other side of Eastern Parkway will be another yeshiva will open up. They bought a building, opening up. They send out a message. We're opening up a new yeshiva. All are welcome. Open enrollment. What's tuition? Whatever Ole Torah is charging, we're charging $1,000 less. Now, if so he's Behaalosecha. Then they say with the yeshiva it's mutter. With the yeshiva it's mutter. There's other terutzim that Achronim give, and I would say that they're not mutually exclusive. All the terutzim are true, because you're saying that here there's no such thing here. When it's two shopkeepers, it's not so simple that competition is good for business. We both have equal rights because we both are paying taxes. We both live in the same chutz and the same mov in the same year, so we both have equal rights. And I can open a shop and you could open a shop, but there's certain limitations to it. It's not just that competition it's not the Wild West. Mashenke, when it comes to Torah, when it comes to teaching Torah to children, befrat, it's kinasah from Tkar b'chochma. Then all the rules are suspended, and we say competition is great for business. Adrabah, we need more yeshivas and more yeshivas and more yeshivas. Let there be competition. So in truth, someone asked me if they could send their daughter to Benois Menachem in Crown Heights because they're competition to Beis Rivka. I said, Gesundheit, halavai, someone's going to make competition to Benois Menachem. The school became so lousy because now both schools are packed. And we need someone to open up further competition. Another Moised, and another Moised, another Moised. The competition there is good for business when it comes to chinuch, and there's no reservations altogether. Okay. But there's another teretz that I think we could give to this question. What's the chidush of kinasah from tar v'chochma over a regular business? Again, let's summarize what we said. We said there's a machlokes about competition. If it's if the first shop could open up, could close down the second shop, we pass in lakula, but that's only if they're the same city. But if he's coming from another city, or he can prove that the other guy is taking away his business, then he can't close down the second guy. If the second guy has better schoida, even if coming from another city, he could sell. But so again, there is no such thing as saying competition is good for business when it comes to halacha. It's true, competition is good for business, but there are certain reservations to it. Two people that are paying the same taxes and live in the same city and are in the same, in the same plane, selling the same merchandise, so on and so forth, then one guy cannot close down the second guy, even if he came first. But there are exceptions to it. A person coming from a different town, or if he's clearly opening up right next to me to undercut me, and so on. But when it comes to Torah, it's kinasah from Kar B'chochma. There's no reservations at all. And I think all the terutzim, the Beis Yosef and the Ramon, all terutzim together will go together with Mara Machoda, Mara Machoda V'Lipli. But there's one more teretz, which is based, I could say, on what the Rebbe is a chidush, which is hafla v'afela. Hafla v'afela. A chidush from the Rebbe, hafla v'afela. Mamish hafla v'afela. If you look in the sheets, I have here a Rambam. So basically, before I read it, the Rebbe wrote a letter for the Istalkus it was 30 years of the Istalkus of the Frierdiker Rebbe. We're now talking, we're standing within almost 2 weeks of Gimel Tammuz, and we should pay attention to the way the Rebbe treated for the Frierdiker Rebbe. The idea, the Rebbe wrote a letter saying that we have to think about the Frierdiker Rebbe, what was his main thing in life, and when coming time for his Istalkus, that we should dedicate ourselves to doing what the Frierdiker Rebbe's work was. And he said the Frierdiker Rebbe at Mesiras Nefesh, I'm making Moistes Chinuch, release time to take kids out of public school to teach them, day schools all over the United States of America, Frierdiker Rebbe schools in every city here, Mesiras Nefesh Mamish. So that everyone should put themselves in to make sure that every Jewish child, every Jewish boy and girl gets a chinuch hakosher and the best chinuch possible. Not only our own children, but every Jewish child, and not only for school, but also for camp. That was a letter that, in the letter that Rebbe mentioned, like the Rambam says, that there's not an issue of competition when it comes to two schools of Torah, two Moistes Chinuch of Torah, because the Rambam says Yagel Torah v'Yadir. And the Rebbe used to pen his letters, and the Maram HaKomis always bediuk nifla. The Rebbe himself later asked, well, how come he quotes the pasuk Yagel Torah v'Yadir when the Gemara says that the reason you're allowed to have competition is kinasaf from Kar b'Chochma, that competition is good for chinuch. So why did he quote something else? The Rebbe said because that's what the Rambam quotes. The Rebbe then asked, but why did the Rambam quote different than the Gemara? And the truth is that Achronim asked the question, and they give an unsatisfactory answer. According to the Rebbe, the answer was unsatisfactory. So the Rebbe spoke about it and gave a biur nifla. And then people asked good questions, and the Rebbe Kiyadua relished this thing that people ask questions against what he's saying. And the Rebbe came back with answering every question that was asked and reestablishing his chidush. The first Farbrengen was in Purim. The second Farbrengen was in the following Farbrengen after Purim. And then the Rebbe went back to that letter and penned a footnote, Ha'ora la'achezman, which is a copy that I sent you, and we'll read it inside. The Rebbe penned a special thing, a special order that was added afterwards to the letter that he already wrote. Okay. It's an Igris Kodesh. It's in volume Chav Zayim, and it's on page Shin Chav Daled. As I said, you have it in the copies here. The Rambam says in the end of the second Pedic in Hilchis Talmud Torah, Echem ibnei Mavui, Shebikesh leyosas malamed afila echem ibnei Chotzer. If one of the people in the Mavi or the people of the Chotzer want to become a malamed, any the shchenim, the neighbors can't complain and hold them back. Why would they want to hold them back? Because there's noise. And the Rambam says in Hilchos Shchenim Perek Vav that usually you have the right. You could say, I don't want to have a shop in my building, in my chotzer, because there's too many. You're a doctor, fine. You could, but you can't open up a shop in your house, and because it's too much noise. But if a malamed wants to have children to learn Torah, they can come into the courtyard and make as much noise. Doesn't matter. The Shchenim cannot bounce the malamed out. Competition. The one opened up a school and the next one opened up a school right next to him. And he's taking away from the first malamed the tenoikus. He can't be moicha. The first one can't be moicha. Not only if he is kedei sheyavoy tenoikus acherim loy, even if it's kedei sheyavoy tenoikus shel zeh etzel zeh, any yochelim chaz biyada, he can't be moicha. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Hashem chafetz laman tzidka yagdal Torah v'yadeh. The Eibishter wanted that the Torah should grow, and the beauty of Torah is when you have more and more and more institutions of chinuch. But that's not what the Gemara said, that you're allowed to open one school next to another school because kinasaf from Torah v'chochma. So what's going on over here? That's what all the Mefarshim. The Mefarshim say that Rambam is just bringing the simpler pasuk. Which is a pella. Why is this simpler pasuk? Why would he say different than the Gemara? So that's the question that the Rebbe had. The Rebbe had a biur nifla as an answer. So the look on page Shin Chavav in the copies, in the smaller words, which is the footnote. It says a sofa meshach zman la'achar chesimas hamichtav. So the Rebbe says in the third paragraph, Lafini is daite benid nedan mashivim sefer betzad sefer the yesh psak the psak den der shtei ros. Zwei dinim, a briske Torah, zwei dinim. The Rebbe says, one is halacha in hasagas gvul, and one is halacha in hilchas Talmud Torah. When I get hasagas gvul, likar rayat tzarich liyish yesh bezet toiv gedoyla lezeh shemasig gvul shedoicha hezek hasagas gvuli. We have to say that even though there's a damage of a sagas gvul, but it's good for the first business proprietor. In other words, it's good for the first school that there should be a second school, which will pick up the scholarship of the first school. And you're allowed to. This raya has to do with the Reuven, that it's good for Reuven that a second school should open up. Reuven, who's the menal of the first school, it's good for him. It should be another school. Hilchas Talmud Torah is a separate thing. Ikar raya al dvar goydla inyan the Talmud Torah shalachem mechuyev b'zeh. The raya is going to get lamasa gevul. It's a raya like Rabbi Shimon. Hine bebo bebasa shom koya sugi bedin asagas gevul. In bebasa we're talking about the laws of asagas gevul. V'lachein raya kinasa from Tarva Chachma shalan nizik. In the Gemara in Baba Bas, that's a whole sugi of Asagas Gvul. So we have to bring a raya that it's good for the first school, it's good for the Uvein, the owner of the first school. There should be another school, and he can't say I'm getting a hezek from this. But Rambam huve beilchas Talmud Torah. In other words, there's two things to say: it's a mutter to do or a machayev to do. If say in a certain case when Uvein has a shop and Shimon is allowed to open up a shop right next to him, he's mutter. Just because you're allowed to do it, it doesn't mean that's a good thing to do. He's allowed to do it. We can't bounce him. It doesn't mean that he gets mafter yoinim from this. It doesn't mean that now he gets big schusim. He's going to get Gan Eden Tacht and Gan Eden Elyon for doing it. But if you take him to Bezdin said we can't bounce him out. He has the same rights as you in the city. He's paying both taxes, and you're paying taxes again. You're both paying taxes. But it's not a mitzvah for the second guy to do it. But when it comes to Talmud Torah, it's a mitzvah. So there's two steps. One is the Gemara in Baba Bas is telling is telling us that it's mutter to do. The Rambam wants to say not only it's mutter, it's chayiv to do. Why is it mutter to do? Because competition is good for chinuch. And the second thing is it's chayiv to do. It's not only a question if it's mutter or chayiv. It's also a question. Is it a din in asagas gvul or din in Talmud Torah? Mitzad asagas gvul, we say the first guy, Reuven, the owner of the first school, can't say you're taking away my business, because we say competition is good for business. And even though we don't say it with such force or we don't say it altogether by other businesses, but by chinuch we do say it. Kinas over Tarba Chachma. But in Hilchas Talmud Torah, we're not talking mitzad the mizik. We're talking mitzad the mazik. One is a din in the nizik, one is a din in the mazik. One is a din in asagas gevul, one is a din in Hilchas Talmud Torah. One din is telling me that it's mutter, and the other one is telling me that it's chayiv to do. So it's two steps. First, the Gemara has to tell me that kinasavim ta'abachachim, and there it's mutter. And based on that, the Rambam Taicha Zois explains furthermore, since it's mutter, it's also chayiv. Oye shloimar. Or we could say it's not another teretz, but the Rebbe is like, based on what I just said, b'shas maybe at tam v'asiba laharbas chachma u'ma'atzma moving up psak din ashenkem basroish mefashim devareim mefurish up psak din yagdol Torah v'yadeh. Brilliant teretz. It's interesting because the Gra has a similar chiddush to the Rebbe, but the Rebbe takes it one step further. The Gra wants to say, and they have it in the copies, that the competition, afila lechatchila, you're allowed to do it. But he brings a raya from the fact that the Gemara says, Omar ma ezer tik in the satakon of Ezer. But the problem with the raya of the Gra is that most Rishonim take out those three lines in the Gemara. The Rebbe's chiddush is also bigger than the Gra. Not only that it's muter lechatchila, but you chayiv to do it. And there's two dinim, one in the nizik, one in the mazik, one in the din asakas gvul, one in the almas Torah. The first step is the Gemara says kinasafim tarbachachma. Therefore, it's muter to do because you're not taking away from Reuven anything. And the second is the halacha in Talmud Torah that you chayiv to open up if you see a moiset and you could open up another moiset, you chayiv to go do it. At the Fabrengen, one of the questions that people asked, they said that maybe this pasuk Hashem Chafetz is only for the first din, for the noise factors. The Rebbe says you should have said the pasuk in the beginning. And Bechlal, why did the Rambam have to bring the end? There's no chiddush in it. There's no chiddush in it. Every competition. So I'll explain what the Rebbe means. You're going to tell me there is a chiddush, even if he came from a different city? Oh, So the Chazal Aduchta, so obviously the pasuk of Hashem Chafetz is not only the first din, also on the second din. So let's summarize what we had here till now. Again, we have a sugya in the Gemara about competition. If you're allowed to have competition, not allowed to have competition. We pass in Lakula that if two people are living the same chutzah, the same over, the same year, and they're both paying taxes, that the first shop cannot close down the second shop. But if the guy's coming from a different city, or the guy is bori azeka from the second to the first, he could close them down. We say baba, but there's a chidush that we all agree that soifa b'tzat soifa yeshiva next to yeshiva is mutter because competition is good for chinuch. And the Rebbe says that there's two chidushim here. There's the din in the nizik and a din in the mazik. A din in Halacha Gvul and a din in Tambos Torah. There's one din that tells me it's mutter, and the one that din tells me it's chayiv. Mitzad the din in the Gemara, it's good for the first guy. The competition is going to pick up the scholarship. But mitzad Hashem Chassid Man Sidka you're chayiv to open up a competition for the first yeshiva. It's not only mutter, but you're chayiv. So this versteht sich for emphasis. What's the chiddush over here? Hashem Chafetz L'man Sidka Yagel Torah V'Yadir, which is, even though competition is always, but you're not going to get mafta yoina for it. But if you see a yeshiva and you're going to open up a competing yeshiva, yes, you're going to get mafta yoina for it. It's a good thing. Everyone should get it. So the Rebbe, it's you see the diuk nifla that why the Rebbe quoted after the pasuk Hashem Chafetz L'man Sidka in the letter, because he wanted to say that every yid is mechuyev to get involved and picking up the scholarship and making sure that every yid gets the best chinuch they could. Every Jewish child, even if your children are already adults, or your children are already in good chinuch, but there's other yidden in the neighborhood, in the block, other yidden in your sphere of influence, you should influence their children to go to kosher camps and to kosher schools. And the best ones possible. There's an interesting suggestion that the Rebbe makes in that Sicha Purim, which I would say, like if you see lately the Gem videos, they're talking about the Rebbe with medicine ahead of his time, but I'm not sure they're going to feature this one in the Purim, because the Rebbe's suggestion here is totally uncouth with today's chinuch understanding. But listen, if you think the Rebbe is forward thinking on the other things, then you should think that the Rebbe is forward thinking on everything. So I tell you, it's a dvar pella, but I sent you the copies so you could look in yourself. You could look at it. The Rebbe says that it's a page 321, Purim Tafshel Lamed Beis. The Rebbe says, competitor, a person that doesn't have a competition, then the proprietor of the business is not going to make sure to give the best services, the best quality. Next page, it says, they explained at length what the Rebbe is trying to say over here. Even though competition is allowed up Halacha, but there's certain limitations to it. Only by chinuch do we say the sky is the limit. You can open up right next to the guy. You could undercut him. You could say your tuition is $1,000 less, and you can come from a different city. V'chulu v'chulu. Sheyesh bazeh gam inyan the Yagel Torah v'Yadir. Kameshkosav Rambam. Okay. Then the Rebbe went into this thing where he had this suggestion, an unbelievable suggestion that Rebbe had. The Rebbe said, look at page 315, which I sent you a copy of. The Rebbe says that Behegdim, he says a suggestion of how to pick up the scholarship in yeshivas. The last two paragraphs on the page. Bnei Adam kasher machalkim esak talmidim l'shtei kita zula ma'alam ezoy. Areza goyim kine de kedusha kine soifrim shemataros aloy kedei lahashpil chashver salam mishu ela kedei litzer efsharus shal yod atar b'chachma shebachol kita shebehem nechleka kvutza zu ubehegdem amavur besifrei Musar ubaruche b'yiratayra latzamach tzedek. Turn to page 316. Ala posik vatakana rochel b'choysa she'inyan akina etzla rochel she'oysa echel meragla makove while derech dinyan the kine soifrim tar b'chachma. Wow. So the Rebbe's suggestion was that schools should have levels. higher level of scholarship and lower level of scholarship, like a Mitzayonim class, so type thing. You remember when we were kids, there was such a thing as Mitzayonim class? Now, my kids are now, for example, in competition. Every year, different competitions going on. But all my kids are in, for example, the Sefer Mitzvahs, the Chidon Sefer Mitzvahs. And they work really hard. And Baruch Hashem, you know, a lot of them are getting on stage. And it always bothered me actually this year, because I know one of my daughters, her friend was like going crazy. And my daughter came to tell me before Shabbos, she's upset. Her friend said this year she's not going to the Chidon because she got sick last year. She has so much. Baruch Hashem, my kids don't have this problem. Halavai, they had this problem. But I was thinking, if is this healthy? Is this the right way to have a competition? You have hundreds and thousands of kids, and there are this whole chidon, sefer mitzvahs, and they learn all 630 mitzvahs and many details of it. It's very nice, but is this competition good? I see here in the Sicha and Purim Tavshin Lamed Beis, the Rebbe advocates to make sort of a Mitzayonim class. And the Rebbe says, look in the next paragraph, in the next paragraph, Bepashtus, Kashamachalkim as Atamidim, Beifin Shaloi Loimdim, Kulam Bekita Achas, Al B'shtei Kitas, Azay Nas, in the Kina Sofrim, Loirak Bekita Namuch, Alagam Bekita Gavaya, Kivin Sheroitz Alaharish, who Godel Yosam Atama Chikibel Shebekita Namuch, Avshalachoy, the Mudav is a Indian Shaloi Lishma, Ari Amr as Aloil Mask Adam Atoid of Bishaloi Lishma. Because through that, it'll come Lishma. The Rebbe is advocating they should have competition with children. And the Rebbe is invoking this thing that the Sifrei Musa say, that Rachel was jealous in her sister. How could it be that Rachel was one of the four Ragla Merkava, which is Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Rachel, that she should be jealous? And they say it was jealous the Kedusha. She was looking up to, she was Mekana b'Maseh HaToivim. So competition is good for Kedusha. Healthy competition. Competition is good for Kedusha. Hafla v'afela. I think schools are shying away these days because today's way of thinking is that to level the playing field, to try to level it out. Just like Mr. Bill de Blasio would like the looters to straighten things out and spread the wealth between the have and have-nots. Needless to say, what thoughts everyone who is listening right now has on this issue. So today in the chinuch world, there is that thought that competition is not good for a business, that it puts down kids and it's not good, it's denigrating. The old style of chinuch was with a lot of competition. The sports were competition, the learning was competition, the scholarship wasn't competition. Competition was very much used in order to pick up the scholarship. And here you see that the Rebbe thinks it's a good idea. They should they should break it up not just by age, but they should break up the classes by scholarship. And that this will create a certain level of competition and kina de kedusha, kina from tar b'chochma. I'm just presenting it the way it is, reading the word straight out of the Sefer. So let's summarize one more time. So we have here we learned all about competition is good for business when it's kosher, when it's not kosher, when it's two people living in the same town, paying the same taxes. Usually we say that the first one can't shut down the second one unless he's coming from a different city, unless he's body hazeka. But with chinuch, we say competition is good for business.
Can I just interject something before you go away from this subject?
No, 1 second. Yes, do. But 1 second, just want to finish the summary.
Okay.
And the Rebbe says that has this beautiful chidush that there's zwei dinim. That's why there's two different psukim, which is that there's a din in the mazik, a din in the nizik, a din in hilchas hasagas dvul, and a din in hilchas talmud Torah. One is to say that it's mutter, and one is to say that it's chayiv to do. And that's the chidush of the Rambam. That's why he brings a separate pasuk besides Kina Sofim Tava B'Chochma, which is one issue, which says that it's permissible, but there's a second thing that Hashem Chavetz L'man Tzidkei El Torah, therefore you should do it. And Agav Urcha, I would answer another Moedik Kasha in the Rambam, that the Rambam repeats twice the Halacha. This Halacha, Echem Ibnei Mavish Shebikesh L'Asam Alamad Afil Echem Mechotz Ein Yochon Shcheinav Limchas B'Yodoi. The Rambam repeats it later, Hilchas Shcheinim. Why does he repeat the Halacha? twice, because there's zwei dinim. One is mitzad the nizik, one is mitzad the madik. One is mitzad the noise, and one is mitzad the take is chayiv to do it. So therefore, the Rambam repeats the halacha twice. And then we have the Rebbe's suggestion about competition, healthy competition, to pick up the scholarship in Limud HaTorah. Yes, we now have the esteemed judge David Sagbir to weigh in on this issue.
I want to talk tachlis about this last subject. I can tell you personally that I'm very close to a family that many of you know, and their son, who attended a well-known yeshiva, was an outstanding Talmud Chacham.
Yeah.
And he ended up marrying the daughter of one of the wealthiest religious Jewish families in California. Now, Baruch Hashem, he's got a beautiful life. And I think he's teaching, in yeshiva in Lakewood. And he lives in a mansion. And he can do anything he wants, the two of them. I'm talking about the two of them. Totally 100% Torah. 100% Torah. But I can tell you that because of his incredible scholarship, he attracted a very attractive woman.
Good.
And,
for all
and, the merit of that was that Rabbi Birnbaum, Aleh Shalom, was Mitzad Kedushin in Los Angeles.
Beautiful.
And he gave a shir at the chasana. He gave a shir. I went to that shir. I didn't understand a word. So all right. Anyway, so that's my weighing in. In other words, there should be an impetus for tremendous scholarship and accomplishment because it locates the right person. You got to be to that level. Right. And if you strive for a high level, somebody who's at that high level will be attractive to you. And that works with the women, that works with the men. So what can I tell you? I think that in reality, the top yeshivas make an effort to bring boys into the top shirim. They're not open to everyone.
Right. This is a different suggestion than this is a different suggestion. The Rebbe is not suggesting to make a yeshiva, which is an unfortunate thing, that there are in the yeshiva world today, yeshivas that only want to deal with Mitzuyanim, which is a very sad thing. The Rebbe is not suggesting that at all. The Rebbe is suggesting that the yeshiva should have groups. Like you shouldn't. Sometimes you have what you have in schools today, where they have the cross-the-board policy. So you have a kid who's very smart and he's doodling, actually making trouble. Why? Because the kid is not being challenged, because the class is being geared for the memutza. So you have the kid who is struggling scholastically is making trouble, and the good kid is making trouble because the class is only for the middle. Listen. But the Rebbe is suggesting take all the kids. Don't chas v'shalom make a yeshiva from Mitzuyanim, but split them up on the level of scholarship. Okay.
Well, or accomplishment or something. I mean, there's got to be a way to do
it. And create healthy competition, but not chas v'shalom to make
healthy competition. That's right.
To make healthy competition, not chas v'shalom. What happens today in a lot of yeshivas, and we know Rav Shteiman was very against it. It was which is to have this attitude that we're a elitist yeshiva and we only take from the best families and only for those that are, and if the father works in a business and has a blue shirt or whatever, and we don't take such kids, and if they're only mitzayonim and only from these families, that is not what chas v'shalom what the Rebbe is advocating for at all.
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry we went over the time, but still want to push another two Sheilos. The lumdus of this Sheilah, maybe we'll do another week. But someone asked me Friday a question like this. Someone texted me Erev Shabbos a question. This is the question. Good Erev Shabbos. Okay. Great seeing and listening to you via phone. Quick question. If Plaga Mincha is 6:50 tonight and Mincha is 7 p.m., and it takes more than 10 minutes to walk, when do I light candles? Okay, so basically, this is a fellow who's lighting candles, and perhaps usually he would eat out, but because of the situation today, he's going to eat in his own house. He's lighting candles, and then he's going to shul, and they're doing early mincha ma'ariv. So he wants to light the candles at 6:50, and then go to shul to daven mincha. Problem is that it takes, the earliest you can light candles from plaga mincha, which is 6:50, but it takes more than 10 minutes. He didn't realize that the real shaila is a different shaila.
Yeah, right.
You're not supposed to daven mincha after you light candles. Oh, so you'll tell me that only applies to a woman, which is that true. The woman is not supposed to daven mincha after she lights candles.
Right. That's in the Gemara. That's the Gemara.
But you say a man, the minig is that a woman is makabel Shabbos when she's lighting candles. Therefore, she's supposed to daven mincha before. But that l'chayra doesn't apply to a man. L'chayra, this doesn't apply to a man. But the problem is like this: it does apply to a man in a certain case. Let's learn the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Siman Reish Samach Gimel Tzivav. Lo yagdam lamar ladlika ba'odayim gadol of ishazen and nika shemadlika lekavod Shabbos. V'gam le'achri. Not the Parsha says v'avat shelo yagdam le'achri. You shouldn't do too early lighting the Shabbos candles. Why? Because then it's not nika. That's for Shabbos. Maybe you just lit the candles tamazoi. If he wants to light the candle earlier in the day and the Kabbalah Shabbos close to that time that he lights the candle, because he's Makabal Shabbos right away. Alayla has to be an hour and a quarter before the night. An hour and a quarter doesn't mean exactly, but Zmanius. An hour and a quarter before the night, you could light, but you have to be Makabal Shabbos. Because if you're not being Makabel Shabbos, then it's not good. He says further, okay, so that's point number one. Now, truth is, the Alter Rebbe holds later in the Kuntas Achron that he doesn't have to Makabel Shabbos immediately. It could be within 15 minutes. But that's not going to help for this person. There's over a 10-minute walk to get to the place where he's davening. So what should he do? So the Parsha says he should daven mincha before. So he won't daven with a minyan. So he should daven mincha before. What could you do? Should daven mincha before. Although I sent you a copy, there is an opinion. I even underlined it with red marker, so you could see it clearly. Ayin Beshut, it's from the Piskei Teshuvos, who has a collection of all kinds of Sheilos Teshuvos. Ayin Beshut Kinyan Torah, Shekol Zabimeim, Shoyim Adlikim B'chol Yom HaShavua, Neiris Lahorim Kain, Imi Adliken Zman Av Lifnei Shabbos, and Niku Shul Chavet Shabbos. B'zmanenu Shemishtamshim Lamor B'chashmal. Benedus madlikim b'derakla rakla kovet Shabbos. U'mipamutas am yechodem l'Shabbos. Ein l'dakta kol kach shel lahad l'karba l'fnei zman adloka kol shu acher plaga mincha av shaloi mekabel Shabbos b'shas adlokosei. He wants to say a chiddush that when the Shulchan Aruch said that if you light an hour and a quarter before Shabbos, it's not nikah that you lit it in honor of Shabbos, and the only way you could light an hour and a quarter before is if you're going to be Makabel Shabbos in those days, because in those days they lit candles for having light. So how's it nikah? It's l'kovet Shabbos. But today, if you want light in your room, you don't light a candle. You flip the switch. And when you have a Shabbos candelabra and you put in candles, you light it. Everyone knows it's l'kovet Shabbos. You don't have to be Makabel Shabbos. Now, does the Alter Rebbe agree with this or not? I don't know. So if you know, v'doik vil dafke kvetchen. If you're the 10th. If it's so important to you to daven with the minyan, I'm not sure. I don't know. Pashtus, the person should daven mincha before, just like every woman has to daven mincha before she lights candles. And the same thing, this person, because he's going to do it an hour and a quarter, he's going to light the candles an hour and a quarter before. And he can't light it earlier. Even the Arshittas that say, but the Alter Rebbe again, the Alter Rebbe doesn't hold, the Arshittas hold that but the he relit it even before Plaga Mincha. He doesn't have to relight it. But the Alter Rebbe doesn't hold that way. And the Parsha, the Alter Rebbe holds that you have to be Makabel Shabbos. And even though you don't have to makabel that second, within 15 minutes. So how are you gonna? So what? So the pashtus, I told the person that he has to daven mincha, be yechidus, light the candle, and then he can go to shul. Not a problem. The interesting question is by women. Women always ask if they didn't get a chance to light the candle and it's already getting late, and they're gonna daven mincha, they're scared with the zman. What should they do? They're scared about the zman so there are those that are makel, but the Alter Rebbe says befedish. Look in the next sif. The Alter Rebbe says in the third paragraph, oh, the minig is that we say that the women that light Shabbos candles, she's accepting Shabbos through the lighting itself. Therefore, she has to daven mincha before she lights the candles. So women always ask, well, what am I do, Rabbi? What should I do if it's the last minute? Like the men, it's not a problem. The men, even though the makabel, we once had a sheet about this. The Gerer Rebbe asked the Serov, she wrote the Shal Shuvah, said it's Tzvi. How come the Chassidische but the Medrashim they daven mincha after they're already makabel to Sefer Shabbos? And he brings the Alter Rebbe's chidush that you could daven mincha even after you're makabel to Sefer Shabbos. But woman is makabel itzuma shel yom. She's makabel the actual kedusha of Shabbos. It's not just she's makabel to Sefer Shabbos. She's makabel Shabbos itself. So there is a kula that Acharonim say that b'di'evet you could daven mincha after you light the candles, because really even Shabbos davening could have been the weekday davening. They made it easier on Shabbos to daven less. So even the Alter Rebbe's lashon is tispal mincha tchila. That sounds like a tchila. So the Ovad, it sounds like if she daven mincha after she light the candles is nish gefährlich. But I would say the best eitzah is that a woman should light candles, and then a lot of women daven Kabbalah Shabbos anyway. She should daven double Shemona Esrei. But a woman that's not davening Kabbalah Shabbos and is not comfortable with that, definitely shouldn't chas v'shalom push off the lighting candle and later be teetering on the zman. She should light the candles, and as I said, l'chatchila she should daven Kabbalah Shabbos, daven two Shemona Esrei. But if she really can't, then she could daven mincha. Daven mincha. Rely on these maybe on the Acharonim that you could the b'di'ovid you could daven mincha after lighting candles. But for sure, the Alter Rebbe says that you have to daven mincha before. One more shaila if we could push in. It was asked a question by a woman. She says that she's an unassuming bubby, and she went shopping in ShopRite, and she made sure to she has a legal weapon with her, and she made sure to take her weapon with her, because she says for her own safety and for the safety of other shoppers. So she took her weapon with her. Now, she's very, very concerned about the covet of the police. She went to Bingo's and she bought a whole bunch of cheesecake and she brought it to the 70th precinct. She thanked the police. V'chulu v'chulu. So now she's feeling very good about herself. And her friend tells her, "Well, it's a chutzpah, it's against the Torah. You're scared. Why are you going to ShopRite with your gun? You're scared, yeah. You have to have bitochen." So she asks me if is her friend right. So no, the friend is not right. What do you mean a person should have bitochen? For sure, a person should have bitochen. But there's two types of fear, just like it says in Tanya. There's atzvus and meridus. There's atzvus is debilitating, meridus is empowering. The same thing here. If the Eibishter made a person to have a healthy fear, which is an instinct, and therefore a person kicks in the idea of being careful. So if this woman is vigilant and she's going to ShopRite with her gun, which she legally owns, to protect herself and other shoppers, that's the healthy type of fear. And therefore, the Eibishter made it, and therefore she's acting apiteva to protect herself, and that's a good thing. Not a debilitating fear is that if chas v'shalom she would not go shopping and be preoccupied with fear and not be able to daven and learn and do her avodas Hashem, that would be a bad thing. But kudos to the bubby who is shopping in ShopRite with her gun concealed.
Annie Oakley.
I'm telling you, you looters over there.
What? Tell me when she's going shopping next. I want to go with her.
Yeah. I think she'll have a whole trail of us behind her.
Next time you're shopping and you see this unassuming bubby, she might be the one that asked me this question.
But really, honestly, couldn't she sort of have a similar effect if she carried with her pepper spray?
She feels more comfortable with her gun.
All right. I'm not going to argue with her. What caliber is it?
I didn't ask.
Oh,
Rabbi, Rabbi, I have
Okay.
a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, like the woman who didn't have enough time to, she thought
Have
she was
a mincha.
scared. Yeah, can she delegate somebody else to light the candles? I know it's for women, but
Why would she
delegate-
lose the schus? Yeah, she
she's not going
could.
to have the time. She's going to miss,
Yes,
miss
she
the
could do
time.
that. But why
Instead of
lose?
praying double, she can delegate.
Why should she lose the schus? It's her
No.
schus.
Rob, but listen, what if she her husband is there? He hasn't makabel Shabbos yet. She's extremely, medoctic about these.
Yeah.
If she has him lighted for her, she'll also get the zichus.
No, it's not the same level of schus.
No,
She
no.
could do it. She could do it if she really wants. She can give the schus to her husband. But the better thing to do is to just light candles and daven later might have with two shmanesses.
All right.
That's my
Yep.
opinion.
Yep.
Okay, Atzlacha, the Eibusha should help. That as we see in the last 2 months, that the Yidden are growing in Avodas Hashem and Alimud Torah, Shebikina Sofrim Tarba Chochma, until we come to the day of the ultimate kina, which it says that Kol Tzaddik Mashiach will come. Kol Tzaddik is Nichbe Mechupaso Shel Chavede. Mashiach will come. Every tzaddik will get burnt from it, because they're gonna. Everyone is gonna cleave to grow more and more. Beruchni is to get closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So in this unbelievable that we see. Where did we ever have such a thing? We're learning Torah on a Sunday for 2 hours, and we're learning about competition in businesses, and we're sitting in the pharmacy, we're sitting in the bakery, we're sitting in the cleaners, and we're learning Torah together. It's like a moedik. It never happened. So the Eibusha should help that we should help each other in the healthy competition of Kinas Ofrim Karba Chochma, that we're learning Torah and we're doing Avodas Hashem, and we should be zoichet to come to the speedily to the Zman of Kol Echad Ve'echad as Nichbe Mechupas Shel Chavede.
Shouldn't we be in
Amen.
shul? Shouldn't we have it in shul soon?
Yes, Emetz Hashem. Look, we tried this Sunday and we didn't have enough yeses. We're going to keep
Right.
on trying until I think that what we're doing right now is working actually really good. We have more participation than we ever had before. So it's fine. But whenever there's going to be a group that wants to have the minyan, so we'll go back to having the minyan and doing it in shul. But definitely we're going to continue doing the shir on Zoom for those that would like to bring us into their business place.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yashkoach.
Baruch to
Tonight,
you.
8:30 tonight?
Yes, 8:30 tonight in Mitzvah Shem. We're learning a really geschmack sikha about Rabbi Yosef, the last one of the 3 sikhas that we learned about Rabbi Yosef and Kabbalah Satorah.
Thank you.
Atzlacha, have a great day.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we should go back to shul, but the normal way. Unfortunately, it's not normal yet.
Well, it would be very difficult to do it in any kind of close, cohesive way. So it would have to be like the Rav giving the mimer last night, But it's not the same, but it's compromised. What can I tell
What are
you?
you gonna do?
Look,
So
I have a Mishnah Shir in Novominsk, and we're all together in a shir. We're all together.
I daven every morning by Rav Babat. Everything is fine. The mikveh is open. People
Yeah,
don't
great.
get close to each other, but very few wear masks. And he
Yep.
gives
Yep.
and coffee. And he had a nice big shalashudas last night, I heard.
Thank
But
God.
sponsored. Yeah, I don't know what happened here. And that everything is okay, Baruch Hashem. I don't know, they're trying to follow the guidelines of de Blasio and the other idiot governor.
Cuomo.
What an idiot! They're all both idiots.
Yeah, why should you limit it to Cuomo? Both of the De Blasio, he's the worst. I mean, he's the lowest of the low.
De Blasio is the worst, 100% the worst.
He's horrible.
He hides behind his black wife and his black children. That's the problem with de Blasio. Okay,
Yeah, you're right. You're hitting it on the button.
it'll be okay. Bezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one in charge, and he'll take away the machla from us. And what are we gonna do?
Yep.
Okay, have a good day, everybody. Take care.
Amen. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right.
Obviously has no chiddush. It's just a lead into the next inyan.
I have no idea. Not that I know of. Okay. Okay, yeah, good luck. Sure. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. Well, you fell last night, so I'm asking you if you're feeling sore or if you're fine. Mhm. Well, that's good. Yeah, you haven't mentioned you're planning on coming to visit. She wanted to know if you go outside. I think it's a nice day out. I mean, I haven't been out yet, but kids are out. I mean, no, well, the babies are out for, but, the kids are inside. They still have, like Zoom school, I mean, what not, the conferences. Another couple weeks. Lionel's actually supposed to be starting to learn in person on Wednesday. Lionel, Rabbi is gonna teach them in person across the street until that. We asked permission for them to use the shul. And they said yes. It's a good question. I don't know exactly, but I think most of the classes will be there. Not all, for sure, not all, but a lot. I mean, they reopened very soon, so it could be that they, jumped the gun a little bit. Who knows? Where? For what? Oh, for Shabbos. Oh, that's so cute. Uh-huh. Right. Where was she up until now? By herself or with the maid? Oh. sure. You said you're gonna take care. Very nice. Right, for sure. Right, right. Well, I imagine she stayed off the well. Oh, yeah, there was less. Should be all together when I go. Probably an email. Right, that was the plan. Well. Okay. No, that's cute. Right, that makes sense. Okay, that's cute. I have them, I got them right. I ordered them for delivery today, this morning, the king.
I started doing it, but I got confused. Laundry basket.
Okay. Yeah. I guess, yeah, but, goes very pretty quickly, so. Yes, exactly. I think so, yeah, Rosh Hashanah. Yes. I mean, that's just how they come. I mean, I don't tell them how long to make them. But that don't be too tight by the neck. Not big in the neck, no. Yeah. Right. Okay. Right, yeah. Ask her to do it for you. I'm sure she'll be more than happy to do it. Oh, okay, that's it. It's just what do you mean?
Yochanan not coming.
Right, right.
Since she's not in the basement. She wants to say something. It was nice. Who was it? Shana went through some of her clothes. She had a test for clothes to Shana. For some reason. I don't know what she's done.
Oh, that's nice.
That was storage. She kept it. I think he still kept it. Because she didn't know they were who was who had them. I don't know one of those. She kept them, you know, she was able to do it way too much. So I
That's amazing.
think I'm just somebody that she knows.
Right, right, for sure.
It's funny when I see these things, maybe with your little ones, onesies, the Laminos, what they call them?
Where?
You know, the outfits, what do they call them? They're not called onesies, onesies are the undershirts.
Right.
You know, the suits that they wear.
The babies?
Yeah. And I said, oh, no, this was it's not even to the same. You become the business so long.
Right, that's for sure.
So I'm supposed to put it over around somewhere.
I don't know. I guess we'll see how the day goes. I'm not sure yet what we're gonna do.
Is this like she had the first on Friday? Yes, she had the first on Shabbos.
The first was Friday morning. Yeah,
What's the name of the baby?
7.
Oh. What's the other?
It was born on Shavuos.
I see. Okay. It's a baby.
Yeah.
Baby.
It's also a family name. It happens to be there is a David somewhere in the family. It's I think my father-in-law's great grandfather or something like that. And it's,
What was your grandpa's parents' name?
his mother was Henny, and his father was Maishi Yehuda.
Oh, that's a very pretty name. I see. You didn't have anything that's much you.
Well, we have Yehuda late, so
Oh,
we're not going to be using that name. No, not a fan. Yeah, but so far I only have one girl, so. Did you have anything to eat yet? I went to sleep. Did you have anything to eat yet?
Can you give me a glass of juice or no juice? Mommy's gotta go in the one day. I don't. She wouldn't let anyone come. She has all these people in her house.
Yeah.
Well, she has
Right.
well, she just has really those two. She just has no place again. Just has to go. So much.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. You look at me like
Okay,
okay. Thank you. No problem.
have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
You too. Chef Rockman, come upstairs to eat lunch, please. Michael? Michael?
Michael just started watching. After we eat, you want to have water break? The glue we got letter glue. The glue we got. We got letter glues. The glue we got letter glues. The glue we got. No, don't touch them. Come back, put it back. These are for me. No, Two, we're not playing water balloons. I don't want them to pop. Two, we're not playing water balloons. Okay? We can't play water balloons. Yeah! I don't want you touching that. How do you fix it? I don't know.
You want to push in the toilet?
Oh, which hand is it? Which hand is it? It's this one. Tomorrow we're opening that pack. You can't play with my water balloon. Yeah! Stop screaming! I'm gonna hurt you. You're punching. Stop it. Don't scream in my ear.
Then you can't pass. Don't make it right.
I didn't punch you. Here, scream in
Don't
my
touch
ear.
it.